Hi there and welcome to the show. I hope you enjoyed last week's show, The History of the Corvette. Today we're going to be bringing you a very nice educational program given to us by NHRA. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you next week.
Hey, Jake, what are you doing?
What does it look like?
It looks like you're playing some kind of weird computer game or something.
No. Read the screen.
Careers at the starting line. I don't get it.
Now, why doesn't this surprise me?
Hey, wait a second. Is this like one of those educational computer programs? Hey, come on, let's get out of here. It might be contagious.
But I thought you were into racing.
Yeah, so?
Well, for those of you who just tuned in, this computer program is all about cars and motorsports. You know, like as a career.
Oh, you mean like how to get into professional racing and stuff? How's it work?
Okay, wait. I'll show you. Are you wearing your safety belt?
Years ago when I was 10 years old, first time I ever heard a race engine was a friend of my father's. Was over at his shop. I was over there after school one day, and I had heard this race engine run, and it was like music to my ears. It's all I wanted to know about. I couldn't wait to get out of school from that point on to go over there, but it was always held over my head that I had to do good in school in order to be able to go over to that shop and hang around. The reason being, I didn't realize it at the time, because when you're 10 years old, you don't understand that stuff. But later in life, the reason being is drag racing has evolved into a big business. It's not just the sport of accelerating in a quarter of a mile and, pulling a parachute at the other end. There's much more to it.
Yeah, that's just like me. My dad said he was going to ground me and take my car away unless I passed every class. I mean, I don't see what's the big deal. Why do I have to be good in English and math and stuff?
Hey, stick around. You'll find out.
There are opportunities in motorsport that's just abound. From anything from 18 on to retirement age, or someplace there for you if that's where you want to be.
It's a big family circle of people racing each and every weekend across the country, and millions of fans watching. So a lot of things that this sport offers that some others don't.
When I got to college, my counselor asked me, he said, do you want to be famous, do you want to be rich, or do you want to be creative? And I said, I want to be creative. So they steered me towards TV production.
There's a lot of positions in a race car that they're all important. Whether you're the guy that takes the pan down and does the rods and the mains, or you're the tuner, or you're the clutch man, or you're a computer technician.
It must be understood that not everyone can be a top fuel driver in a dragster or a funny car or whatever that may be. There's a crying need for automotive technicians, people who can work on cars, who understand them, who will take an interest in them, and will keep a pace of technological advances in the automobile as we see them occurring daily now.
Most excellent. Would you care to make a selection from the carte de jour?
Yeah, whatever.
Top name mechanics probably have the biggest salaries out here. People have the misconception that because the driver is on TV, that he's the one with the biggest pockets. Well, that's not necessarily the case. There's tuners out here that really specialize in certain areas, and there's only so many of them to go around. There's probably a lot more drivers than there are good fuel mechanics and good pro stock mechanics out here. And the top name mechanics are the guys that really bring home the big paychecks.
The job market's very competitive, but right now it's very hard to find good technicians, so I think that anyone out there with the proper training can do very well. There's actually a big shortage of good mechanics right now.
Wow. Pretty amazing, huh? I mean, it's like most of the time you keep on hearing that there aren't many job opportunities anymore.
Well, what do you think he meant by proper training?
Well, point and click at one of those boxes. Maybe you'll find out.
I'm a machinist. I make the fuel heads and alcohol heads, rocker arms, valve covers. I probably couldn't have gotten into this position if it wasn't for the schooling that I had through high school and after high school, some of the programming and training schooling that I took, using trig and stuff like that to make your programs up and stuff like that. You have to have your programming skills. You got to have your math and calculations down, or the machine will crash. For machining, you got to have your math down.
Math? Oh, beat me off this planet.
No, Eddie. Math is to be embraced, not scorned. Math is to be adored, worshipped, detailed, and accessorized.
Oh, kind of like a cheeseburger.
Okay, well, that works for me.
I'm gonna check out another one.
I do the clutch work on the car. It's pretty involved. We have to pull a clutch out every round and put a new pack into it and repair if we need to do any repairs. And on the pressure plate itself, I clean that out to get all the clutch dust out and then start to assemble it again. On the way we set up the clutch, there's math involved in the amount of weight we use on the clutch and things like that. You know, we use a computer on the car tells us what we need to do on a lot of the adjustments on the clutch. So in that respect, there's a lot of math and things like that involved. So you need to go to school for a while to learn this stuff.
Math again? It's like you can't get away from it.
Yeah, that's the point. You can't get away from it. I mean, you really got to know algebra, geometry, trig. I mean, come on, these are high-performance engines.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Well, and computers. Don't you realize that racing is completely high-tech? Almost everything depends on computers nowadays.
Now, right here, the problem with this car is that the engine won't rev up. The engine's only revving up to about 6,700, and normally this car would rev up to 7,500. Because of the altitude we're at, it's very difficult to run up here, but it should run better than this. Bottom line, in professional racing today, in particular in drag racing, without technology like this, you can't even race. You're going to be a non-qualifier, you're going to be frustrated, and it just can't be done anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna choose crew chief now because, well, maybe. If you're the crew chief, you can just, you know, be in charge of everybody else. But maybe you don't have to be like this total math whiz or anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, not. If you're the crew chief, you have to be good at everything. Look.
Here, I started doing this when I was about 12 years old, actually, except it was on lawnmowers. I spent most of my time in school worrying about what I was going to do to my lawnmower or my mom's car or something like that there, you know. That's how it all started, and it just snowballed from then. I started racing when I was 16 years old. And fortunately, when I was driving the car and racing it and so forth, I ended up being the world champion in 1987, and they can never take that away from you. I guess you have to be a jack of all trades is what it amounts to when you're doing something like this. I can do pretty much anything you have to do on the race car. Building my own chassis, modify parts that we get from the way manufacturers make them and so forth. And I guess it's a desire to want to try to be the best that there is.
Crew chief is somebody that didn't just start by being a crew chief. They probably started as being a mechanic on the car, and between a combination of that and going to school and maybe getting some engineering skills, we're able to put the full package together and take what they learned around the racetrack and then take it one step further because they developed their own ideas in school.
Right now I'm the crew chief on the La Victoria Top Fuel Dragster. I used to be the driver up until about 3 years ago. I had a bad accident in England and just moved over to the crew chief position. You know, there's a lot of opportunities in this sport, and so I decided to stay in the sport that's been so good to me, and I love being a part of it, and I'm not going to let one bad day in England spoil what I had in mind for goals for this team, and all my crew feel the same way.
You see, the crew chief really is the head honcho.
Well, then I wonder how that's different than this box. It says management.
Wait! Don't touch that box!
Why?
Oh, no reason.
Oh.
Well, as a team manager, I make sure that all of the teams that we sponsor, which we have 6 cars out here in NHRA, we make sure that they have everything they need to compete in an NHRA event. That runs the gambit from oil distribution to uniforms to making sure they have any statistical information they need to have. Anything like that, I take care of for them. The behind-the-scenes guy. I started out in the automotive business when I was 10 years old. I started sweeping floors at a parts store, and as part of our counterman training, we were required to go to some seminars. I took some public speaking courses, a lot of business and marketing classes, because basically out here that's what you're doing is sports marketing. It's all interaction with people and products and the companies that those products promote.
I started drag racing as a hobby in my latter years in high school. A typical high school student, belonged to a car club. That particular car club happened to have a dragster. Built up a relationship with the National Hot Rod Association and began my career with the NHRA back in 1983. My current position with the association is a senior vice president position. I am responsible for the technical department, the competition department, and the field department, and it's under a title of racing operations. In motorsports in general, there's a wide variety of occupations and careers available.
Okay, I'll admit it. All this stuff is really interesting and everything, but I want to see the part about the drivers.
No problem. Say the word.
Pedal to the metal.
I grew up around the sport of drag racing, fell in love with it a lot of years ago, but, you know, I went through school and finished my education before I stepped foot in any kind of a race car. And, you know, it's not just jumping in the car on Sunday and driving down the racetrack. There's a lot of in-between race preparation that goes in, and hey, that's something that I really enjoy. And
high school education is just where it starts. I think a lot of people look at it as the end. And I think that's a high school diploma is where your life actually starts. Without that, I don't think you're going to get anywhere.
Whoa, hey, I want to meet Shelly Anderson.
Oh, there, Stallion. Put those hormones in neutral. There's more.
I have a pretty extensive background in mechanics, and I also have been to electronics school. So I think as a driver, that helps me a lot.
Well, I'm a homicide detective for the City of Los Angeles, LAPD. The whole deal with drag racing is it's like an extension of your smarts. It's you and a race car together to do something and to keep improving it from point A to point B. The competition in drag racing is the same as it is in any type of employment that you're seeking. You've got to be the best. You've got to be intelligent. I practice all the time, whether it's reviewing tapes of the race car, whether it's reviewing other professional drag racers and watching them leave the starting line, watching them prepare to make a run. And I also talk to as many drag racers that have the time when we're at the races. Get the competitive edge, and you'll do good in this world, but you have to really put forth an effort.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. You gotta put forth an effort if you want to be a winner.
Eddie, you surprise me. Maybe you're not as dumb as you look.
Oh, yes, I am.
Never mind. You know which one of these I'm curious about? This one, safety and security.
My job with NHRA is to coordinate all the medical services at national events. I arrange for contracted ambulance services, both advanced life support, basic life support, helicopter services. I also interface with local trauma centers to set guidelines for the treatment and care of any injured spectator or driver. My educational background, there's a heavy base on science. Science and math is very important. Also, I trained EMTs for several years at a vocational technical college, so my communication skills were very important in doing that. You need a combination of both medical skills, medical knowledge, administrative skills, and a knack of making things happen.
You know, it's weird. I never realized how many different jobs there were, you know, just to make it all happen.
Yeah, and so far, I think we've only scratched the surface.
So, okay, Jake, keep scratching. You pick the next one.
Here's one I definitely want to know more about.
The wonderful world of money.
There's a tremendous amount of money that's involved in running a race team. To build a team of this size here, you're looking at about a $3.5 million investment. And knowing how to spend that money wisely requires a good business background. Our yearly operating expenditures run about $1.5 million. So getting the most out of every single cent is very important.
If you're thinking about starting a racetrack and you're a racer and you want to run that racetrack, very first thing you got to do is take off the helmet and put it in the closet. Because now you're no longer a racer, you're a track operator.
Really, our niche is using motorsports as a vehicle to sell corporate America on how they can either promote their product, their brand name, generate awareness, and sell products through motorsports. It's public relations, it's corporate statistics, mathematics, call it whatever you want, because you do need to how to make the numbers add up and make sense for the sponsor.
Today, what I really do the most of, and I think it's a great place for young people to think about, because a lot of young people who are good salespeople. But I sell all of the sponsorships. Sponsors want to have results. And they're results oriented a lot of times on just the fact that it's a win-win deal.
Wow, I think my brain is starting to gain weight from this rich diet of information.
A for effort, Eddie, but I seriously think you should consider a class in remedial metaphor.
Nah, I'm gonna check out another one.
It's sort of funny. In that what I had to know to get this job is not what I have to know now. Actually, what I had to learn how to know was how to be creative, how to think creatively, how to take a problem and come up with the right solution. This is real personal, but part of my feeling is that young people have to understand that the visual arts and the creative fields are really directly related to emotions. It is what it is that makes you feel good and conversely will make someone else feel good. If it's a pair of shoes, if it's a blender, if it's an illustration, if it's a photo, if it's a car, something makes you feel good and something doesn't make you feel good. My personal feelings are it is better to create something that people hate than create something that people will ignore. And that's really where the creative process is. There's no such thing as a bad drawing, a bad illustration. There are only different illustrations.
In this business, you always want to look for a different angle, different kind of picture. I think my first NHRA race I went in like 1983 and I had no clue what was going on. So all I was doing was at the start line. And every year I go, I'd just shoot the start line and I'd watch the highlights on TV and I'd see all these things happening. I'm going, I want to get those pictures too. In the past 2 races I was at, I got some really nice different pictures and I got a funny car. The blower blew up and the skin flew off, floated in the air. Nobody got hurt, but it was... The funny part about it is that when I was shooting, all I saw was the ball of flame on the car. And I came back to the office and I thought, oh, I got a car on fire. Let's see what it looks like. And I'm looking through my film and I see this car flying in the air and I went, oh my God, I got this. This is great. Okay, I'm never leaving that spot.
Oh, I think that being a sports writer is a marvelous way to go through life. People like always asking me what's my favorite sport, and I like to say the one that I'm at. Well, I think in any type of writing you do, you should spend as much time getting a solid background. I was advised by people to take history, political science, and a lot of English, social studies, not necessarily journalism so much as heavy on background, philosophy, psychology, all that sort of thing. Well, the nicest thing about what I do is the environment. I love newspaper offices because you're always in search of information, and it's always nice to see your story the next day. The fact that it's produced every day is a new day. It's nice to get paid to do something that when you were younger you'd do for nothing.
I know very few people that have the opportunity to do for a living what they actually have done in the past just for fun. And that's the way I attribute my life. I've been a race announcer for over 35 years, primarily concentrating in drag racing.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Dave McClellan. Thank you very much, Bob Fry, and 2 of the biggest, one's in and one's out.
Without question, the education is the key to the whole thing. If you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the understanding and the wisdom to be able to capitalize on it, what have you got? And that's nothing. So I would say definitely education and knowledge is the key to success anywhere. You have to couple that, though, with a lot of dedication and motivation, because if you don't have that, all the knowledge in the world isn't going to do you a thing.
As far as school goes, it's a background that you have to have. You know, when you are an intern at a production company or an intern at a television station, you have to be able to talk the basic language to the people that work there. And then you can start getting the specifics from the people that work there. And you'll always find somebody who's willing to talk to you or willing to teach you something. Show me the scoreboard for.
Down into the 490.
496, 496.
It should happen, and it is
Ready for it, take for it.
Second pair out, 496 at 280.
Pretty much I'm an electronic graphics operator. So any kind of typed words that you see on the screen, anybody's name, scores, what their speed, their reaction time, and their elapsed time were, that's me. I had 2 majors when I was in college. I had a television production major and I had a Spanish major. Sort of a broad spectrum, but it's gotten to the point where it's kind of helped me. And of course I'm getting to use my TV production skills all the time. I know that if I didn't have that degree, they wouldn't let me in. I probably would not be anywhere in where I am now.
Well, you see, that just goes to show it's not all math and science.
Well, that's not the point. You see, it's math and science and art and English and writing and communication and engineering and technology and philosophy.
I have a background in journalism. I have strong writing abilities, and I have a minor in English. My job is to work basically with the media to make sure I get information on Scott, Mopar, and the Wayne County team out to the masses. But you have to go out and sell your driver and your team to the media person, and sometimes that's not an easy job. There's a lot of us out there competing for that space. If they want newsy things, and that's my job to find newsy things, write about them, and hope that they get printed.
I do advertising, public relations, and technical writing, primarily with motorsports clients.
It's extremely competitive. All of the major manufacturers are represented out here. They have public relations people working the circuit. It's a big investment in motorsports, and we're trying to leverage their exposure to maximize the impact that they have. Somebody just getting into this business needs to know how to write. An average week, I'll probably write 50 to 100 pages of manuscript. Now, when I was in school and college, I was writing about English novels. Out here, I'm writing about race cars. The skills are the same, the subjects are different, but you have to know how to put words on a page and so it'll make sense and be interesting to people.
Hey, Jake, this whole thing is, like, amazing, but there's just so many choices. I'm interested in almost everything, but where do you start?
Don't panic. I think maybe we can get some answers here.
You got to build the groundwork when you're in high school and college. That's when the important stuff's done. It's like building the race car. If you get the chassis done, then you can hang all the suspension and engine and put all the horsepower in it. But without the chassis, you're not going to go anywhere.
I don't think it can be done successfully without the education now.
I want people who have an education, somebody that wants to learn and move up. If a guy doesn't want to stay in school and doesn't have the initiative to do that, I'm not really too interested in having him either.
I think another skill that's very, very important is just learning the discipline of work, of starting a job, taking it through to completion. Because racing is nothing but deadlines. When the racers have to be online at noon on Sunday, there's no excuses. Well, it's the same way for me.
The visual fields they're endless, and I can't overemphasize enough how much the electronics and computers and the digitizing of this information is going to grow more and more and more. And many of these fields in the multimedia, arena are going to get more and more important.
When you promise to do something for somebody or you make a commitment, that commitment has to be backed 1,000%.
Oh, yeah, you gotta love the sport. You gotta love it, and I do. I love drag racing. Ever since I was a kid, I used to get the magazines, Hot Rod and Carcraft magazine. They'd have the blow-up pictures in the middle, and I'd get those things out and I'd paste them on my wall. Of course, my mom would get mad at me for putting thumbtack holes in the wall, but I just love drag racing ever since I was a kid.
It's a dream come true, it's exhilarating. I get to do what I really love to do. And I get to be successful at it. That's something that, you don't always have that in auto racing. You have to have the equipment to go along with your skills. And if you match the two together, you're going to be a winner.
I'd like to be world champion. I'd like to end up in the top 10 this year, the top 5 next year, and then be world champion. That's my goal, and that's what we're hoping for.
I've been fortunate enough to be an announcer for drag racing, particularly for over 35 years. And if anything I could attribute to this, it is longevity and survivability. It's been the opportunity to devote my entire life, basically, to the sport of drag racing.
It's really hard to explain, but to be able to live in a country like we live in right now, and this is my job, I guess you could call this my job, but to have fun at what you do and make a living at, what more can you say?
I have never been happier in my life. I travel all over the country. I meet people that are my family away from home, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
The NHRA wishes you the best in whatever career path you choose. But remember, success is never a matter of luck or magic. It happens because you make it happen with your commitment, training, and hard work. So set your sights high and go for it. Put your career on the starting line.